Did anybody research an object? Carwyn, you were talking about Barbie.
Barbie just stood out. I did a little research into the history. She was created by Ruth Handler, who's the co-founder of Mattel, after watching her daughter playing for hours with paper dolls. Her daughter's name, coincidentally, is Barbara, so hence the name Barbie for Barbie. So watching her play with these paper dolls and dressing them and undressing them, she decided to make a 3D version, and she introduced it at the New York Toy Fair in 1959. Initially, people were a bit skeptical of this doll because most dolls up to that stage were baby dolls. And this was sort of the first adult doll designed for children. But she took off, and she's now an icon, if you like. And she's been through 180 different career choices, has countless fashion accessories and outfits. And I noticed the museum has a mozza of Barbie stuff. Barbie and Ken in Qantas uniforms, Harley Davidson Barbie and Ken,
Wow.
and Barbie and the Rockers in their 80s gear, and a lot of fashion and accessories from 69 to 72. So quite a lot in the museum's collection. I didn't have a Barbie doll. I had a Cindy doll because Cindy's body type was closer to my own. Hey,
Oh!
Cindy! Yeah! Yeah. Cindy's prettier, isn't she, Cindy?
Okay. I don't know if she's prettier or not, because I was a Barbie person. Cindy didn't really exist in North America. And this Cindy doll was recently given to me by someone who said, hey, I've got this Cindy doll. She's dressed in her British Airways outfit from 1993. So she's a recent Cindy. And yeah, that's my Cindy. But Barbie, holy crow. I'm so sorry you didn't have a Barbie, Carwyn, because being born in 1959, I was a Barbie person. But, I couldn't have a Barbie until I was much older, and I had forms of Barbie. So I had someone called Midge, and I had someone called Skipper, but I didn't get a Barbie until I could spend my own money and buy a Barbie. And she was, and all of those were pretty much, my growing up. We couldn't afford to buy clothes, like the marketing clothes. We had to make our own clothes for Barbie. So you can just imagine how different this would have been from baby dolls. We did a lot of role play with Ken. Yeah. But yeah, I do like my Cindy doll. And who had mentioned Cindy? Was it you or?
Yeah, me. I had the Cindy doll rather than the Barbie doll.
How did you think she was prettier?
She was more relatable. She had a flatter chest and a broader waist.
She does. She's much more realistic, I have to say.
Which one has the hair that grows out of the top?
I think that was a version of Barbie.
Yeah, it was a version of Barbie. But that was a much later version of Barbie. I had Barbies. The first one was the twist and turn Barbie, so that they had a manufacturer so that she could twist and turn her waist. And then came the Barbies that had bendable knees, so you could make her sit, and bendable arms, so you could make her that. And then, I grew up, and that was the end of Barbie for me.
Was Ken marketed for boys, or was Ken?
No. Oh, no. G.I. Joe came in the mid-'60s, and that was marketed for boys. Ken was definitely marketed as Barbie's boyfriend.
It was Barbie's friend. It was boyfriend. There was no wiggle room.
No, Ken asked Barbie out for dates, and they created a Corvette in which you could get a Corvette, and then they could go out on dates. It was boyfriend back in those days.
Cool.
I think Barbies are one of those things that it's a continuing cycle. When you get to a certain age, you play with that for a few years, kind of like the Wiggles. One of the reasons they've stayed popular for so long, they might keep their audience for only a few years, but every year there are more kids coming of age to get into their music. And so they constantly have a fresh audience. And we loved our Barbies. Any accessory that we could get our hands on, that we could convince our parents to buy, we absolutely loved. My best friend and I both had older brothers, which meant we had to lock the door, barricade ourselves in our rooms to play with our Barbies. to avoid them being stolen and thrown, out the backyard or whatever else. We were obsessed with Barbies.
Since the original Barbie with the 1950s movies icon body, Mattel has introduced different body types. At the moment, they've got a role models collection with people like Ida Buttrose, Frida Kahlo, Amelia Earhart, Bindi Irwin, Katherine Johnson, and a plethora of sports figures.
Of course.
They've got 1984 Wonder Woman. They've also got Barbie in a whole pile of Star Wars outfit too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've got her as R2-D2, but not shaped like R2-D2. She's wearing an outfit that looks like R2-D2. And Darth Vader, she's got dark hair, dark sunglasses, and a dark cape. So you can get all these Barbie Star Wars things. I have a confession to make. I bought my great niece Barbie as Galadriel a few years back. And they did bring out Aragorn, Arwen, Galadriel, and Legolas as 12-inch Barbie dolls. So if you've got a popular culture movie, chances are Barbie's made figures fit into that.
How does Barbie compete with iPad and phone?
Well, these days there are new mediums for Barbie. There's Barbie television shows, movies, Barbie computer games. So things to interest newer generations.
I can remember Barbie being controversial because the clothes that she had implied that she had a job in an era where this was still being discussed as to whether it was good or not. So these things are kind of the backdrop and wallpaper to more important conversations.
Fundamentally, from a pop culture point of view, Barbie became an absolute pop culture icon in herself, and then helps keep relevance by embracing all these other pop cultures. It's quite extraordinary. It's like she's the apex pop culture identity. Yeah, amazing.
Throughout the years, she has always not necessarily broken boundaries, but certainly been commenting on boundaries. These days you get Barbies with different coloured skin tones, so that she is actually relevant to not just one type of young girl, but she's more relevant and more relatable to many different people.